The internet's darkest corners 7. I haven't watched 1 through 6, but we're gonna 1 through 6, but we're going to watch 7. Ah! Hold on, I can't hear nothing.
Okay, what's going on?
Alright, this is what's happening.
Wait, Loki, I should get the lights low.
2014. 45-year-old Joseph Parker dials 911 at 2:45 in the morning to report an urgent incident that had taken place inside his home in Springville, Tennessee. An incident that had been solely his own doing.
I've been married 12 years. On the 4th, which
He killed his wife.
would have been 2 nights ago at 4 a.m. I shot my wife
Yep.
in the temple of her head.
Yep. Chat, I'm here first. Okay, yeah, L first. Get up out of here. We're watching this one first before the other one, just because it's gonna be a short stream.
I killed her, and I put her in the freezer out in the garage.
It happened on him and his wife Samantha's 12th wedding anniversary, a day that should have been a celebration, but instead had somehow ended in Joseph shooting Samantha at point blank range.
Why are they showing like VHS horror, FNAF VHS horror stuff in the background?
Before proceeding to put her body inside their garage freezer. An awful crime that Joseph was now confessing to a 911 operator. But this confession wasn't the real reason for his call, as Joseph likely would have been content without ever reporting his own crime, had it not been for the fact that hours prior, he noticed something unusual.
Oh nah, she's moving in there.
And she's not there.
Yeah.
She's got a big hole in the temple of her head, and you get her body moved around in there. I think I broke her wrist. You know, she was frozen from being in the thing. She's been in the thing 48 hours now.
According to
Nah,
Joseph,
did you know Michael Afton fried a baby? That's cap. That ain't real.
Samantha was still alive, despite having a large hole in her head and spending so long in their freezer that she was seemingly frozen solid. When he checked on her that morning, he realized that she wasn't actually dead and was even still conscious.
I always come back.
Impossible, with it being so outlandish that Joseph felt the need to tell the operator that this wasn't a prank.
This is no prank call. I need somebody to get out there and help her out. But I promise you, this is a legit call, and I need somebody to get out there and help her, because I still love her. It's hard to believe that after that, you know, but I love her. I still love her. You know,
How are you gonna say I still love her after you just gave her some cartel level treatment?
I've loved her every day I've been married to her. She's had a rough stretch here.
He was being serious, and all he wanted to do now was get Samantha help, as he claimed to still love her despite everything he had done.
Boy,
And help
no way,
couldn't come
boy.
quickly enough, as Joseph went into greater detail about just how bad Samantha's condition was, and how he was able to determine she was alive in the first place.
She's been frozen for 2 days. She's frozen solid. It's amazing she's still alive. She couldn't talk. She couldn't move her jaw. She's in bad shape. She's a mess. She can't talk. I give her to blink. Blink once, means yes. Blink twice, means no.
Despite being unable to speak or move, Samantha
Damn.
was
So, bro, you think do you think she like knew he boomed her? She's got it, right?
still blinking, and was actually blinking in response to questions Joseph was asking her, once for yes and twice for no. And in a moment of what appears to be regret for what he had done, he tried to make things better by giving her blankets and pouring water in her mouth.
Yes, she's still in the garage. I made her as comfortable as I can make her. She tried to drink a little water.
These responses led to a lengthy, one-sided conversation that ended with Joseph vowing to get her help, which he was attempting to do now, as he drove miles away, clearing the scene for authorities and paramedics to save her, while calling 911 and explaining the surreal scenario.
We don't have a history of domestic disputes. You know,
What?
we've never had to call.
What could have possibly happened
Police and up.
if there was nothing wrong?
A couple of nights ago, I was waving the gun around. Got myself in trouble.
The two had a happy and healthy marriage that, for whatever reason, had turned sour on their anniversary, in what he referred to as a real bad night, where something in Joseph had snapped. But despite admitting to the murder, he made it clear that he had no intention of going to prison. He just wanted to make sure that Samantha was safe.
Oh, word? Oh, word? And who decided that? And who decided that? Talk about I'm not going to jail.
We get arrested tonight.
They putting you under the jail, buddy. I ain't gonna
Telling the operator that
lie.
they'll find her in the freezer before ending the call shortly after.
Go to the garage. Any jail for you. Any jail. Just go to the garage. That's where you'll see her once you get to the garage.
Sure enough, when authorities entered Joseph and Samantha's home and ventured into the garage, they would see Samantha's red hair flowing out from the side of the freezer, and inside, they would find Samantha herself, frozen completely solid with a gunshot wound to her head.
That's
the same exact manner that
crazy.
Joseph had described. But other than this, it was clear that Joseph's retelling of events was flawed, to say the least, as Samantha hadn't just been...
Bro, you already did all this and you still lying on top of that?
inside the freezer. She had been jammed inside of it, as if he was desperate to get her to fit inside, so much so that he actually sawed off her left leg, along with making
Oh yeah, I think he did forget a detail or two. Yeah, okay. He was talking about somebody broke her wrist. Her whole leg is gone.
a series of other cuts to her body to get her to fit. And this wasn't even the most damning revelation, with the most important having to do with Samantha's condition. Just by looking at her, it was clear to the first responders that Samantha was dead, and had been dead for days, likely having been killed instantly by the gunshot, meaning that the blinking Joseph had witnessed was entirely hallucinated. It never could have happened, and yet that was his reality. He fully believed it. Upon the discovery, Joseph quickly became the #1 most wanted man in Tennessee, and that same day, police would track down his vehicle as he appeared to have been trying to flee the state.
He went
officers
on
got
the
to him
run?
first, pulling him
Nah, this dude's a sicko.
over and then surrounding his vehicle, drawing their guns and preparing for anything. But just as Joseph had said on the phone, he had no interest in going to jail.
And he took
And
his
that was something
he took
was
his life.
dead serious about. When officers finally got his car door opened, they would find Joseph Parker in the driver's seat, dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the
Yep.
head. His death made it impossible to fully confirm why he had taken Samantha's life that night, but reports seemed to indicate that he had recently lost his job, and the couple was experiencing financial hardships, putting their home in danger of foreclosure, with this perhaps being the reason
Yeah, no interest in going to jail after. Nah, man, this man's a sicko, bro.
the two were arguing on their anniversary. But reports also indicate that this murder didn't happen in the midst of the fight, as evidence points to Samantha having been asleep at the time she was shot, adding some uncertainty to how the situation truly did unfold. But one noteworthy discovery made after the fact was that at the time of his death, Joseph had drugs in his system, which could have been a factor in the murder itself, and it certainly was a factor in the hallucinations he was seeing afterwards.
Bro, I think that he went into some like psychosis and he felt like he had to confess. And then that's why he did that, and then he went on the run after that. You know, but I think maybe if he didn't go in psychosis, he wouldn't have said anything at all. But he started tweaking.
As he stood in his garage having full conversation,
I mean, true, he was already tweaking from the jump, but
with the frozen, mutilated corpse of the woman he had just killed, all the while truly believing it was all real, with this 911 call leaving a haunting impression on myself and the many others who have stumbled across it in the
Hey,
internet's
man.
darkest corners.
Breaking news now, this out of Brandon, where a husband is being 200 around. Right. Hello?
bro, you really gotta. Some people just really shouldn't have guns, man. Like it's really great, and then and sometimes you never know until something happens. But like, bro,
Self-control used to be a nightmare. You can trust them, Brian.
Do you ever feel like you're being watched? Well, considering that you're online watching this video right now, there's a good chance that you are. Your
what that
internet
mean?
provider can
Hey, what that mean? Oh, it's an
see and
ad.
log everything you do.
Oh, it's an
online.
ad.
And not only are they watching what you browse, it falls into the helm of research. Let's just say my search history, or by going to expressvpn.com/crowley.
His search history must be crazy though, for what he has to find for these videos.
Jennifer Sheffield's life was largely encapsulated by the posts she made on social media. She worked hard studying in medical school with the hope of becoming a doctor, a journey that she documented on her growing TikTok page. But when she wasn't at school or at a hospital, her time was spent with her family. She had been married to a man named Brandon Sheffield for around a decade, and when they met, Brandon already had 2 children from a separate relationship. Though this didn't deter her in any way, and instead she took on the responsibility of helping to care for them. Raising the children alongside Brandon.
Listen, I'm sure she gets murked by him, but he kind of looked like a caveman, bro.
They were her own for much of their lives, to the point where they seemingly started referring to her as their mother, a role that she thrived in, as she frequently posted pictures and videos alongside them. And the same was also true for her being a wife, as she loved to share her memories and moments with Brandon, cultivating this image of the perfect family and the perfect pair. But on social media, things are rarely ever as they seem.
That's true.
And on the 10th of December, 2024, Jennifer would drop a bombshell on her followers.
So, about to be a newly single mom, and I am in the middle of a divorce. My husband is being incredible though, like really and truly, like we are.
Why y'all divorcing though?
Working together, everything's great. We're splitting everything down the middle, like everything is good.
Yeah. Why are y'all divorcing then? That don't sound like.
After 10 years of marriage, Jennifer announced that she was getting a divorce.
10 bumbuckle years.
For why, just the simple fact that they were separated and had already started the divorce process. Something that was reiterated by both of their Facebook relationship statuses as they shifted to single around the same time. Despite the sad and even shocking news, it was clear that they were handling it better than most. There didn't appear to be any resentment between them, as Jennifer described Brandon as having been incredible throughout the process, supporting her in any way possible, which was obviously good not only for them, but for their children, who were top of mind for the pair.
It is a very civil divorce with our daughter in mind, and I really appreciate that. However, I'm going to be a mom, single income right now, and he will be helping with her. He will be supporting her, so essentially, I'm really thankful for that, and that I will not have to worry so much about supporting her.
It was apparent that there was some kind of custody split being discussed between them, which isn't really made fully clear in the video. But what was clear was how grateful Jennifer was for Brandon's support.
Wait. Did he say they were running like one of them family TikTok accounts, or is that just her personal? I mean, I guess you don't gotta tell people why you getting divorced, If you got hella followers and if you coming out and tell, hey, we're getting a divorce, y'all not saying why. W engagement bait though. I ain't gonna lie.
This marked the first time in Jennifer's adult life that she was really on her own.
I've never done this before. I've never been on my own before. So yeah, if you just have any tips, I would really appreciate it, because I'm a little scared right now.
Move to a different state, Brody.
It was uncharted territory and something that she was understandably nervous about. But despite her fears, Jennifer maintained an optimistic attitude. And thankfully, at this point, the divorce itself was going about as well as it could be. They were both supportive of each other. They were both thinking of the children, and there seemed to be no bad blood between them.
Bo, you can see it in his. I know he gonna do something crazy. You can see it in his eyes, bro. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me you can't look at his eyes and tell me that brother ain't regular. He different.
Though, as I said before, on social media, things are rarely as they seem.
We have more breaking news now. This out of Brandon, where a husband and wife are dead following a murder.
Yeah.
According to Brandon police, the couple was found on Toulon Street this morning after family conducted a welfare check on 30-year-old Jennifer Sheffield.
I knew it.
18 days after posting this video, praising Brandon Sheffield for the incredible way he had been handling their divorce, both Jennifer and Brandon would be found dead inside their Mississippi home. That morning, family members arrived at the house to perform a welfare check, but noted signs of foul play outside, leading to them calling the police. Inside, officers discovered the pair lying next to each other. Each had a single gunshot wound to the head, with one thing being blatantly obvious. Brandon Sheffield had been the one to pull the trigger both times, shooting Jennifer before turning the gun on himself.
I already called this thing from the start.
What happened that night isn't fully understood, but the motive is fairly clear.
Bro, you know what the saddest thing about this is? Them 2 kids, I'm glad they got family at least now, but them 2 kids just lost both their parents. That's gotta be traumatic
for the both of them. Had supposedly been handling so well. Though obviously there seemed to be more
in the same night, bro.
Perhaps the violence was spurred on by the holiday season and Brandon's realization that this would be their last as a married couple. Or perhaps he just wanted Jennifer all to himself. And if he couldn't have her, no one could.
Bro, and this is their dad that they had from a last, he said that oh my goodness, they were in a previous relationship, or the dad was in a previous relationship, and they split, and he got both the kids, which is crazy, unless like the mom died or something. But that's crazy. Daddy had both of the kids, bro, out of the marriage, and then for this happen, bro. 10 years with
Since
their
her
new
murder,
mom.
Jennifer's video has become a morbid piece of internet history, and just seeing how full of hope she was is heartbreaking in hindsight. And because of Brandon's actions, not only was Jennifer robbed of her future, but these children were robbed of their mother figure and their father figure.
I'm saying, bruh.
And making this even more devastating, some articles have claimed that one of these children was actually in the house during the shootings. What Brandon did was nothing short of evil, but surprisingly, not everyone has seen it this way, as the discourse around this case has somehow led to people actually
Wait.
it this way.
Men sacrifice their happiness for their families, and women sacrifice their families for happiness. I'm not gonna lie. Some of y'all need to have your brains like studied scientifically. Seriously. Nobody knows the details of their divorce, and this is what you're saying, bro?
The discourse around this case has somehow led to people actually
You're a sicko. The internet has ruined bro.
And even blaming Jennifer for her own murder.
She tried so hard not to smile about the entire thing, the whole video. Women. Alright. So, like, this gotta be engagement bait. 400 likes, yeah, bro.
Sadly, this is just a fraction.
You just being brain dead for love of the game.
Of the disrespect that Jennifer has faced since her death, as there have been numerous other online controversies surrounding her and her family. Though for the sake of this video, I don't want...
People said she was grinning. Oh, she deserved it. Alright, yeah, she should have been in the camera like this. We are divorced. It's not going... like, it's going well. Yeah. You don't understand the reason why they divorced. Shoot, he obviously got some problems. He obviously got some problems.
A very real story and a very real victim at its core. A young woman who will now never get to experience the future that she was so hopeful for.
I had this feeling this morning for some reason to tell you that it's gonna be okay. You still have a purpose. You've got to keep pushing.
They're really trying to justify her getting boomed for a divorce. Yeah, bro. Like I don't get it. Hold on. She could have gone and cheated, done anything, but she went through and decided that it's not gonna work out. We should get a divorce, rather than go in a different route. And you're like, oh nah, that's her fault. She got boomed. No. I hate people who try to justify, bro. Like, kill all Twitter users, bro.
You gotta keep going.
Them engagement baiting, farming accounts, bro. They gotta go.
Throughout 31-year-old Rania Ibrahim's Facebook page, friends, family, and followers have been accustomed to seeing posts of her children, various religious texts, and other media from her day-to-day life. But on June 14th, 2017, Rania would begin her very first live stream, and it was clear from the start that something had gone terribly wrong.
Okay, open the front door. You're going to bring the smoke in. Okay. You're not going to be able to breathe. Your children. Maybe someone outside. They're in the other flat. Are you sure? They've gone into the flat.
The footage is from Rania's perspective, as she and another woman discuss what lies behind the front door of the apartment unit they were in. The woman, believed to be 33-year-old Isra Ibrahim, told her not to open the door as it would let the smoke in, while Rania insisted that people might still be out there and in danger, eventually leading to her peeking outside, and in turn giving us a glimpse inside their nightmare situation.
The place on fire?
Okay, I'm not opening.
She just told you not to open the door. Pre-jump scare.
The door opens for just a split second, revealing a thick layer of black smoke, the loud ringing of fire alarms, and someone pounding on a door. Rania eventually calls out to whoever was knocking outside, beckoning them towards her.
Hello? Come here! Come here! Hello? Come! Quick!
To which 57-year-old Gary Maunders emerges from the smog, completely covered in ash. It was a dramatic scene, and one that you can start to piece together based on the footage alone, as it was clear that there was a fire raging inside that apartment complex, and the entire floor Rania was filming on had been filled with smoke. smoke that essentially trapped her and a few others inside this flat. Given the sheer amount of smoke in that hallway,
Dang.
it was obvious why the others in the room insisted on keeping that door closed. But Rania continued to hit back on this, as she didn't want anyone to be stuck out there alone.
Bro! Listen, listen, I understand, but you just gonna end up killing everybody else in the apartment.
Hello? Hello? Okay, I'm going out. Hello?
Emergency stairwell? They probably can't even see none if they try to find it. You'd be surprised how many people don't know what their emergency exits
Before
are.
eventually conceding and closing the door for good. It was obvious that the situation was dire, but just how dire wasn't revealed until Rania made her way over to the window.
Okay, I'm not going, okay.
How big's the drop? Damn, GG's.
They were 23 stories in the air,
Oh,
in the highest
yeah.
floor of the Grenfell Tower, located in North Kensington, London, England, where Rania and hundreds of others live.
This is exactly what I would never, bro. I get you want to have a nice view or whatever it is, or you take the apartment you could get, but if I can skip over and pick a different option, bro, I'm not going to anywhere past maybe the 10th floor.
Where in that high rise was a growing fire.
العمارة كلها ولعت من فوق لتحت. احنا في آخر دور هو اللي لسه ما ولعش. يا ربنا يستر إن شاء الله. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
Yeah, you'll never catch me in a penthouse.
As she looks out the window, Rania tells her viewers that she believes the fire had started from the bottom of the structure and was quickly working its way up to them, with it now being just one floor below them. But officially, this wasn't the story that Rania and the others in the room were being told.
Where the
As each time they would
firefighters
dial
at?
999, the operators would tell them that the fire was generally contained and leave them with one clear instruction:
Stay put. Yep.
stay put. This was the name of a nationwide rescue policy for all high-rise fires that stated that people should stay in their flats and wait for rescue as opposed to trying to escape on their own, as buildings like these were made from thick concrete and should hypothetically keep fires relatively contained in the flat that they started in for an estimated time period of around 2 hours. And considering that this fire had started roughly 1 hour before Rania's stream, they should have been relatively safe until rescue crews got to them. And when looking outside, the fire wasn't even noticeable, meaning it was possible it was still contained and had simply been producing a lot of smoke. But that belief was far too optimistic for reality.
Fire brigade.
Yeah, hello, hi, in the fire, flat 16 Greenfield Tower.
Sorry, a fire where?
Flat 16 Greenfield Tower. It's the 4th floor.
Right, okay.
Quick.
They're on the
It's
way
burning.
already.
4th floor? Dang, y'all, this is why y'all gotta have fire extinguishers and all that in your, even if you're not in a house, man, if you're in an apartment, you gotta have a fire extinguisher, something like that. Always.
1 hour earlier, on the 4th floor of the tower, a man called 911 to report that his freezer had caught fire. It was an incident that had happened through no fault.
And that's an electrical fire. You can't go and drop water on that. You need some, you know what I mean?
Of his own. And due to
You
his
need
quick
a
phone
fire
call,
extinguisher.
Firefighters would arrive on the scene within minutes, one of whom was wearing a camera that showed that they were able to handle the blaze in a relatively efficient manner.
Why does it look like a video game? The camera quality is so
using thermal
buns.
imaging and heat sensors to assure that the fire was fully out. The camera scans around, showing a few items strewn about that were still at relatively high temperatures. But other than that, the room was completely clear, and it seemed as though the fire was out for good.
77
until the camera
degrees
panned
Celsius?
to the window.
What happened to the window? Oh, GG's. Oh,
Revealing
GG's.
scorching hot droplets of debris falling from the outside like molten rain. The fire...
Yeah, that's cooked. The moment I seen it, mandatory to have a fire blanket at least. These apartment buildings should have a fire extinguisher in every single unit. It should be a federally mandated thing that every single apartment needs to have a fire extinguisher in it. Every single one of them.
Above them, and was now burning up the side of the building in a manner that was completely unprecedented and defied any sort of logic based on the firefighters' knowledge of the scene. And by the time they even realized what was happening, things were already out of hand.
Yeah, that's cooked.
The fire was huge, and within just that first hour, nearly the entire building was engulfed in flames. And Rania was now trapped on the tallest floor.
Bro, off of one freezer, by the way, just one. That's all it takes.
Opposite to where the fire was raging. And she wasn't alone.
Man.
Not only were there over 100 people left in the building at this time, but 2 of them were Rania's own children. 4-year-old Fethia and 3-year-old Tanya, who were stuck in the same flat as their mother and several others. With desperation mounting, some of the others called out the window for help.
We're stuck on the 23rd floor! Hello!
كان في لندن فين؟
Too many people stuck upstairs!
Until the stream went dark roughly 6 minutes later. Despite things looking grim for the group on the 23rd floor, there was still some optimism about their rescue, as even 30 minutes after the stream had ended, those in the group were told once again by 999 operators to stay put, with the operator even telling them that the fire was contained to the 4th floor, which clearly wasn't the case.
That's cap.
Rania's sister later spoke to the media about a phone call that they had shared around the same time, where she begged Rania to try and leave, recalling, "She did not. She respected and trusted and believed that they are coming to rescue them." And by this point, there were hundreds of rescuers on the scene, along with multiple helicopters flying around them, which only further kept their faith alive. But tragically, this was all a cruel facade. Internally, fire crews were told not to go past the 12th floor shortly after Rania's stream ended.
Oh, jeez.
It was just too dangerous. And as for the helicopters, well, those trapped inside would have had no idea that those were actually just police helicopters, merely used for surveillance. They weren't even equipped for rescue, nor were they ever considered to be used for that, as getting too close would have blown more air on the fire and made the blaze even worse, meaning that those helicopters offered them no chance at survival.
Do they not have do they not have like ones that could drop like all that dust and all that on there, or the powder? Bro, I seen in China they have firefighting drones now. Like they don't even gotta send people in there. They got drones that could go in there and put out the fire,
leading to authorities finally telling them to try and escape by themselves. But by this point, there was no point. This was 2 hours after the fire had started, and an hour after Rania's stream. The fire had completely taken over the structure, and inside there was only one single stairway. A stairway that was now impossible to safely traverse for anyone on the higher floors. Even attempting it would have been a death sentence. The orders for them to shelter in place had cost them valuable time, and in turn, any chance at leaving while they could. And it was all for a rescue that was now impossible, leaving them completely trapped. Rania, Fethia, Hanya, and everyone else shown in this livestream would perish in what we now know today as the Grenfell Tower fire, a fire that claimed the lives of 72 people, in one of the worst fire tragedies in Earth's history.
Wait, I was just watching a video about this the other day. The reason it caught fire too was because the materials that the contractors used for the building were extremely flammable, because it was cheaper to use than the fire resistant materials. Lead into this. Your apartment building caught fire once you're in the pool, but once you saw the fire ran inside of your brother, sister. Oh yeah, they lied, bro. You gotta get out. The longer you wait, the worse it's gonna get. That's simple. If I start a fire in a flammable space, the longer the fire gets to go, the bigger it's gonna get.
While we've covered many large-scale tragedies on this channel before, few have been more preventable than this one. The Grenfell Tower was built back in 1974.
I think he low-key about to get into it.
Its concrete exterior was beginning to look outdated in an area that was experiencing a wave of modernization. The neighborhood was becoming trendier and wealthier, and the tower was becoming an eyesore to some. And so the decision was made by the Kensington and Chelsea Tenant Management Organization, along with the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea, to refurbish the exterior by adding new siding known as cladding to give it a more modern appeal. It was purely aesthetic, but its effects were horrific.
Here it is.
The cladding was created by a company called Arconic, which had tested it numerous times to see how it held up to fire, and the results were awful. Their ACM cladding received a grading of F, with it being apparent that it was extremely flammable, with some
this is exactly the thing I was talking about. And you know, this all, the first responders, they were just doing what they're trained to do. At the end of the day, you know whose fault it is? It's the management company that owns the building. It's their fault this happened.
Turning it to gasoline due to how quickly it would erupt into flames, while also producing 3 times the amount of smoke as usual fires. But despite having these test scores and even acknowledging their failure in multiple emails sent throughout the company, notoriously following up their F score with the line, "Oops," they not only refused to fix the problem, but they also kept selling it, with one of their clients being the group working on the Grenfell Tower refurbishment. And it wasn't even a secret either. Those in charge of the project wanted it done as cheaply as possible, and this ACM cladding was as cheap as it got, and so they chose it despite knowing the fire risk. And worst of all, they had the opportunity to buy a version of this product that was actually flame retardant, but they opted for the cheaper, more dangerous product, which in the end only saved them about 5,000 pounds, or roughly $6,500 USD.
And they bought it, that lawsuit they about to get hit with must have been, man, they must not even be, no pennies left to their name.
Product. The companies working on the Grenfell Tower refurbishment knowingly bought the flammable product, and in the end, it all resulted in a disaster that they all should have seen coming. And when you couple this with the flawed orders to shelter in place, and the fact that there was only one stairwell, it was a recipe for disaster. This was always going to
the
happen.
Operators, rest in peace to all them folks.
So many levels for so many parties, and it all traces back,
man, them operators couldn't have even known,
to greed and the value of money over the lives of innocent people like Rania and her children. Despite the fire starting 8 years ago, justice has yet to be served, as investigations are still ongoing to this day.
What investigations do they need? The information is there. They use a highly flammable thing that they knew was tested to be highly flammable. That's just negligent.
To an agonizing wait for all those who lost loved ones in the blaze, with the trials themselves not expected to start for another full year.
Nah, they need all of the people who, all of the people involved with approving that all need to be under the jail. And there's still buildings using that material. GG's.
It was the usual start to the day for Rhoda McFarland. The 42-year-old manager of the Lane Bryant store in Tinley Park, Illinois, was no stranger to big sales.
It's the Have It All sale at Lane Bryant.
Lane Bryant had a habit of launching monthly clearance events, sending out flyers and airing commercials in the days and weeks before to let all of their customers know. And this day, February 2nd, 2008, was yet another one of these sales. She knew it would be a busy day, and potentially a stressful one for one of her employees, as that morning only one worker was scheduled to open the store, something that Rhoda disagreed with, leading to her coming in to help, even though she had the day off. But like I said, this was a typical morning for her, as this was just the kind of person she was, always willing and wanting to help others. And as she clocked in for work that morning at 10 a.m., she and her coworker braced for a potential rush of excited shoppers. The rush, however, wasn't as dramatic as they may have expected, and in the first 15 minutes or so of opening, only 5 people had entered the store, 4 of which were female shoppers looking for some deals, while the 5th was a delivery man who walked in holding a stack of papers. The man approached them and made casual conversation, but after a few minutes had passed, he kind of just lingered around, never actually delivering anything, which Rhoda found strange, especially considering that it was Saturday, a day that they typically didn't receive packages.
That's too many red flags.
More suspicious by the minute, Rhoda quietly placed a call to a nearby Lane Bryant store, who confirmed to her that there was in fact nothing scheduled to be dropped off that day. But before she could even process this information, an incident was already unfolding around her. Out of nowhere, the delivery man pulled out a pistol and pointed it at the women, yelling at them to hand over the money from the register, before proceeding to round up Rhoda, her employee, and the 4 women shopping, demanding that they all give up their cash and jewelry. After he was satisfied with the collection, he forced the women to the back of the store, where one by one he bound them with duct tape, placing them each face down on the floor, and putting underwear over their heads to obstruct their view. In the minutes following, he would venture back out into the store where 2 other women had entered, and they too were then robbed and then forced into the back room, where they were eventually subdued. But not before he just struck one of them in the face with his pistol, nearly knocking her unconscious. It appeared to be a fairly high-level robbery, but after he now had them all in the back room, the whole operation seemed to grind to a halt. It was like he didn't know what to do next, as he started pacing the room.
Just dip.
The minutes ticked on, and the more time that passed, the more agitated he became. it was clear that the pressure was getting to him, and sensing
Why ain't he just dip? Why? Hello? He got what he needed. Why is he still in the store?
his disorganization, Rhoda seized the opportunity, quietly slipping her hand free, allowing her to call 911 through her Bluetooth headset.
Yeah, what is he doing?
Emergency. We're at
Despite the man being in the room with her and the others, Rhoda managed to alert authorities to her exact location, telling them to hurry and making it clear that the situation was urgent. In the background, you can also hear the robber himself, whose disheveled state is apparent as he outwardly states, the operator was on it, quickly dialing dispatch and telling Rhoda not to hang up.
Stay on the line. Let me get you to Tinley Park. Don't hang up.
Though within just a split second, the call disconnected. By some stroke of good fortune, there was actually an officer in that shopping center only about 100 feet away, and from the time that Rhoda made that call, the officer managed to arrive on the scene within just a few minutes. He rushed inside the store, but inside he found nothing, until he made his way over to that back room.
Don't tell me you
Inside, he
boomed
found
everybody.
6 women with underwear over their heads, lying on the floor, each one having been shot execution style just seconds after Rhoda's 911 call.
Bro!
It was a mass murder, but in the midst of this awful scene, one thing was missing.
The
killer
robber
himself. And so authorities flooded the area, scanning and searching all over for the gunman, who was described as a black man with a husky build and a single braid that fell to his right cheek that ended in green beads. And the reason they knew exactly what he looked like wasn't because of security footage, as at the time the store didn't even have any CCTV cameras, but instead, it was because one of the women actually survived. When the man began his execution,
rest in peace to all of them, but this robber saw, bro, he came in there to rob the store, got everything he needed, all he had to do was walk up out of there, tried to kill everybody, and somebody still, yeah, bro.
He moved his way over to the employee that Rhoda came in to help, and when he fired his gun, she moved at just the right moment, causing the bullet to graze her neck, to which she proceeded to then play dead so that the man wouldn't notice. And thankfully, he didn't.
Yo, survival instincts of a Navy SEAL. Oh my goodness.
The reason why we know exactly what this man looks like, and why we know what those moments were like before the shooting. But despite this, after doing a thorough search of the area, even utilizing a helicopter, there was no trace of the killer. CCTV footage from a neighboring store showed that just before Rhoda made that call to 911, 2 large SUVs pulled up in front of the building right after the shooting.
Damn, that camera quality.
It's believed that both of these SUVs were involved in some way, with one potentially being a lookout and the other likely being the getaway car, explaining how he would have gotten away so quickly. Not to mention that the store was located right near the entrance of an interstate, which could have taken them out of the state extremely quickly.
Yeah, bro. They're gone then.
18 years ago. And today,
they ain't find
neither
none.
the shooter nor the drivers have ever been identified, marking a rare instance in which a mass shooting in America went unsolved, leaving us with so many unanswered questions to this day, with one of the biggest being
why? Why, bro?
Police have labeled this as a robbery gone wrong, which does seem to be the case, but why Lane Bryant? And why come in the morning?
Yeah, bro, like why? It's a clothing store. Of all the places to rob, would you want to survive a traumatic situation like that, or would you rather die? Ooh, I don't know. I feel like, cause obviously she had to see everybody else get boomed. It's just her. Damn, you don't even want to like step foot in a store anymore. No reason. There was no reason for him to be from the beginning. There's no reason for him to do this. Bro, get a job. Second off, there was no reason to stay in the store. And if you put stuff on people's, and that's the thing, you came in there like no mask, none like that. You trying to do some clandestine tactics, some heist tactics. They already seen your face, and I think the reason he boomed everybody is because they already saw his face and he knew that. Like he fucked it up, and he's like, okay, well I gotta kill everybody. Gotta die now since y'all see what I look like.
There was next to no cash in the register. I mean, in total, the killer only made off with about $200, and that's including the cash he stole from the women. One of the main theories today is that the killer had planned on taking customers hostage as they entered the store, but perhaps he grew frustrated at the lack of customers that day, until he eventually noticed that Rhoda was making a 911 call, which caused him to panic and start shooting. But what always gets me about this is that he never covered his face at any point.
Exactly.
Which makes me wonder if he was planning on killing these women all along. Though if that's true, how could this ever have been worth it?
$200, bro.
How bizarre this whole situation is. Some have posed other theories, like perhaps this was someone with a drug addiction who was looking for quick cash to get his next.
This doesn't seem like a smart line of thinking. I'm not gonna lie. This is not a smart line of thinking. About $200, bro.
Fix. Perhaps explaining his rapidly deteriorating behavior, or even that the suspect was actually a woman who never got caught because police were primarily looking for a male. But it's impossible to know for sure at the moment, and might not ever be known, as despite having survivor testimony, an exact description of this man's face and body, his voice, and even his DNA, which was discovered under one of the victim's fingernails, we still have no idea who this man is.
That's insane. Bro, they have everything. They have everything. Nah. If that happened nowadays, that's the thing though. That was 2008. You know, there's been a lot of advancements from 2008 to now. To have his DNA, his voice, exactly what he looks like, and have nothing of that, that means like one of two things. He ain't from here, or they just literally could not put all this stuff together for it, bruh. He's not a real human. He can't be from, let me see, self-defense trainer. He absolutely planned on ending those people. Alleged robber just wants money and values, and he just wants to lock everyone in a secure back room. Finally, he pulls out, claims he wants to buy himself more time. Yeah, nah. But I mean, shoot, how are y'all? They can't strike back, bro. They got they're bound. So like hands and feet, there ain't no way to move.